happening, YouTube land? It's your boy, and I'm back again. This time reacting to Does All Gen Z Think the Same? It seems like y'all do, because I be on TikTok and I be like, what the fuck is this? Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I mean, I kind of know, but I kind of don't. I got two younger sisters. One of them, she's a millennial like I am. And then my youngest one, she's Gen Z, but I don't know. I don't know what she be talking about in her little school rooms and whatnot. So I really couldn't tell you. So I'm gonna take what they say on Jubilee, and I'm not gonna take it with a grain of salt. This is what I'm gonna think of y'all. So it better be good, because y'all be talking about some bullshit half the time. So this is what I'm taking. All right, let's get into the video. Yay!
I feel like in my household, my opinion is not valid, and it will never be valid as long as I live. My parents will yell at me, they'll get mad at me, and we'll get into such large arguments. It's even gotten to the point of one time where I've gotten into arguments with my parents with you're gonna have to move out if you don't agree with these things. I've sent or received nudes. 3, 2, 1, go.
Girl, I mean, like,
If one day I want to get a certain job or go into a political office, I just don't ever want to have somebody to hold that against me. Even when people send me nudes, I'm like, I didn't necessarily need that. Like, pics when they're just,
wait. Are we saying nudes?
Nudes.
Oh my god, I thought we were saying news. N-E-W-S. I'm so sorry.
Why the fuck would they?
Send nudes because I just do things on social media. I want to pursue acting. I feel like my body's a temple. You gotta pay to see it, if at least. Same as Daniel said. It can come back.
Did she say you gotta pay to see it at least? You know how dumb you sound? Lord.
Bite you. I'm just scared.
Revenge porn is very real, and I think most women or women adjacent people have received unsolicited pics.
As like a bisexual person and kind of just being in like a world that's hyper-sexualized already, and it sucks because that's kind of like the age of social media and like LGBTQ youth, is that pretty much like they have to seek validation online. That's like really like the way to do it.
I agree exactly with what Makai said. I mean, it is like the form of validation now. Like sending nudes is love, but
This makes me just want to jump over it because I feel like I'm in the wrong area. We're gonna go here.
If like they should respect your values if you don't want to send nudes, and if not, like it's pretty clear to me that they're just using me for my body. Nudes has a lot to do with appearance, and putting a lot of value on how you appear can just sometimes be damaging.
To piggyback off that, it's really important too, like when you're growing up, no matter like your body type or how you look, everyone has like beauty in them. So it's important to love your body and love like how you look, because like, girl, that's your body. Like, flaunt what you got, boo. That validation needs to come from within, not from other people. Because like, I know I'm sexy. I don't even know who's telling me I'm sexy. So, period poo. Is that going in? Skinny jeans are out of style.
I will say, as a millennial, sending nudes, it became a thing when I was growing up, like around middle school. That's when like, flip phones started to get the camera quality and all that. And then when I got to high school, that's kind of when people started getting iPhones. The iPhone came out when I was like 7th grade. So, middle class people started to get it around 2009, 2010. That's when I was in high school. So, I will say that, after, all that happened is when, the revenge porn started, and, people were looking at that type of stuff online, and it was on there. But, that revenge porn wasn't even a phrase, a saying, up until I was like in 9th or 10th grade. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
3, 2, 1, go.
Wait, what was the question?
3. Skinny jeans are out of style. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just the era of the time. It was like rock was like, you know, pop rock, lots of skinny jeans, and then turned to like ripped jeans. And I think pants are getting bigger. I don't know if it's because like maybe we're shifting more towards like androgyny. I'm over here because I think that skinny jeans, I don't like them, and I would wear them because I also have like chicken legs, so like that's not happening
Wait,
for me.
is it out of style or in style?
The question was skinny jeans are out of style.
Oh, so I'm.
Ma'am, can you listen? You not representing Gen Z well. I'm gonna be real with you. My sister, if you watching this, charge this little girl up, cause she making y'all look really bad, like super bad.
But they are in style?
Yeah, skinny jeans.
Oh, no, they're out of style.
Oh
I
Lord.
recently bought my like first pair of like baggier jeans, kind of like what he's wearing, and I was like blown away. Honestly, like there's so much space. You don't have to worry about it like bunching up and stuff. Like I don't know why we ever stuck with skinny jeans to begin with.
I think the whole skinny jeans side part thing is generational politics, so they're trying to like distract us from what we actually disagree about.
Over some jeans? Okay.
Like nobody actually cares about the skinny jeans and middle parts. Like millennials, please stop making songs about it. It's not that deep.
I get my news from YouTube. 3, 2, 1, go.
I just somewhat disagree because I try not to just, stay on YouTube because it can be a lot of disinformation. But I also feel like, I follow a lot of political YouTubers and I feel like their perspectives are different than what's on the mainstream because like 3 corporations own all of the media.
Social news, Twitter, 100% easily. But like if it's like some political stuff, I have like subscriptions to like New York Times, even Fox and stuff, just so that I get a perspective from everyone. And I tend to go ahead and like focus more on like the journalism stuff. And YouTube is like the headlines, but I don't click the video and like deliberately watch it until I've known the facts.
The ability of Twitter to get, opinions out there from people who aren't political pundits is really valuable. And, when big things happen, Twitter usually hears about it first.
I feel like it kind of just comes down to like a media literacy thing, and it's something that like our generation and further generations are gonna have to face. We haven't been in this era where there's like what Sarah was saying about like the democratized way of social media where like everyone can say information. We're like in this new era where we pretty much have to learn how to decipher which is valuable and valid information and what's not. And like as social media continues to grow, I feel like we're just gonna keep becoming more literate.
And I feel like we should be taught this in schools. We're a whole new era. Like we grew up with like tablets and laptops, whereas in like previous generations didn't, which allows us obviously to have more diverse opinions, but I think that should be taught in school as well.
Do your guys' parents ever just call you and be like, did you know this happened? And you're like, yeah, it happened like 5 hours ago. And you're like, did you just find out now?
It's usually fake news with my mom.
Oh my
it's
God.
usually fake news with
My mom. She gets you.
I will say too, like, like I said, the millennial, we were the generation that, like, we didn't have it, in our early years. It started becoming a thing once we hit like 12, 13, 14. So, I mean, I get all my news from Twitter pretty much. So, and like, but before I can definitely see how like my mom's generation, something like that, like they got their news by just watching TV or opening a newspaper, which, Twitter is like you getting it right then and there. Like it ain't no like pause. It ain't nothing. Like you get it right there. What's happening? You know what I'm saying?
Facebook.
Same,
Literally, she
same,
calls me.
same,
She's like, did you hear about this? Like, mom, that's right.
Yeah,
She's like, it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Like my mom, when she was on Instagram, she was like, she was saying the wrong stuff. And then she was like, the vaccine, those microchips. And I was like, Mom.
I think it's also important to think about like why people believe that. Like, yeah, it's like stupid and it's funny to make fun of, but like people are afraid of like, really rich people who are going to be like controlling a lot of stuff without, democratic elections and without any accountability. And it makes sense that people would feel like, I don't really know if I can trust the government.
My parents and I agree on political and social issues. 3, 2, 1, go.
My parents like raised me again on the whole thing of like look at every single side, and I guess it didn't go necessarily their way, but at the same time like sometimes it ends up being a wreck, but like whenever it's a wreck we come back and we're like, I see your point, but here's what I think, and here's why, loaded with facts, not just like, oh, I think this because this and this and this X and X and said. No, it's because this is a percentage, this is a statistic that I'm pointing out.
Honestly, I used to try and like show them a different perspective and like have an open conversation, but like I'm kind of at the point now where it's like, you know what, let's just not talk about it. It's probably for the best.
You know, my parents always say to me, like, you pay attention to politics more than we do, and we like learn from you. And sometimes we get into little arguments. That can be a good like way to sort of inform each other, because obviously they have more experience like historically, like what went on. But they can also say like, yeah, I don't understand, you know, this specific issue. Can you, you know, get me up to speed?
I would like to have a disclaimer for my mom and dad. What's coming out of my mouth is coming out through love. Also, if they're watching this, please stop watching this. My parents are very closed-minded and conservative,
Shut
and
up.
there have been fights, as in Daniel's family. I feel like in my household, my opinion is not valid, and it will never be valid as long as I live. I don't want to be quiet about the things, and I want to speak up and share my opinion, but when it comes to that, my parents will yell at me, they'll get mad at me, and we'll get into like such large arguments. It's even gotten to the point of one time where I've gotten into arguments with my parents, like, you're gonna have to move out if you don't like agree with these things. And it's like, I understand what you're saying and all, but you're telling me that if I don't do what you're saying, what you think is correct, I'm not allowed to think what I think is correct, because what you think is correct is concrete.
It's kind of,
I will say too, like, I appreciate Gen Z for, you know, thinking their own way, you know, and being like, well, maybe this ain't the way that, you know, X, Y, and Z feels. Because I can tell you, from previous generations, especially with kids I went to school with and stuff like that, whatever their parents believed is what they believed. Like, and they had no facts to back it up. Well, my mom supports Trump, so I support Trump. Well, my dad supports Biden, so that's who I'm rocking with. And it's just kind of like, bro, you don't even know, like, half of the shit that's really going on in the world. You just think you know because that's all you seeing. You know what I'm saying? But I will say, like they're saying, it's a lot of disagreements, and I can appreciate that. And I heard from one of my favorite podcasts, if you grow up conservative, by the time you get older, you're going to be in the middle about a lot of shit. If you grow up Democrat, by the time you get older, you're going to be in the middle with a lot of shit. And I have never heard a more truer statement in my life. Like half of the issues is kind of like, it's so case by case basis. It's hard to be on one side or the other. Like, it really is, especially, you know, if it's a woman's thing. Like, as a dude, you really can't tell a woman what to do, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, and vice versa. Like, as a woman, you can't really tell a dude like what, you know, he should do in certain situations if it's a dude's matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I do appreciate them for saying that.
I'm not allowed to think what I think is correct, because what you think is correct is concrete.
it's kind of similar but different. Like I'm actually grateful that my parents and I have different political opinions, because I think it's kind of forced me to try and see the other side and try to understand why they think a certain way.
Sometimes those disagreements are fundamental to your identity. Like, they say a lot about how you look at the world, how you treat other people, and it's hard to separate that. I don't want to be friends with someone who thinks that, like, people who are poor or unhoused people do that because it's their choice. Because that's a fundamental disagreement with what I believe.
That's fair, but also family, I feel like, is different. They're immigrants. There are certain issues that they won't, fully understand. Yes, it would be nice if they try to.
It's very different with it, like friends or like your parents. Your
Exactly.
family.
Yes.
I agree 100% with Daniel. My parents came from Romania. It was communist at that point, so their views on the world are not going to be the same as everyone's as like they were, So it changes because where you come from is so different from America.
I have felt depressed. 3, 2, 1, go.
There are a lot of points where it is romanticized, and I think it's a difficult struggle. And also, I think like within like the Black community, there also is just not a lot of attention to mental health at all. Obviously, there's points where I feel flustered and I feel like, oh, like everything's crumbling around me, and that's like a very common human thing.
People want to talk.
I just want to go off what he said. I mean, I do feel as though, people mistake being sad in between being depressed. Being depressed is, it's hard for you to take a shower in the morning. You have suicidal thoughts. You have, it literally feels like a big dark cloud is above you and you can't do anything of it. Like I can tell you, someone that's been depressed, like the colors weren't as bright as they were, and I can tell you that because once I was depressed. And then when I got out of it, the colors just shine bright, and it's something you can't explain unless you've been through it. I have people that are my friends that told me they don't believe in depression, they don't believe in therapy, they don't believe in and that's their opinion. You know what I'm saying? But I also feel like what he said is in the black community. The black community, our parents don't give a damn if we're depressed. We have a roof over our heads and clothes on our backs. That's all we ever needed, and it's like. That's the bare minimum. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yes, I know. Little Tutu in Africa ain't got nothing to eat, and I'm over here eating McDonald's. I get that. But that doesn't help me. Like, that doesn't help my situation to be like everybody doesn't respond somebody got it worse. Cause what does that do for you? Like, yes, okay, people have it worse, but I'm still fucking sad. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's different, especially in the black community, bruh. We need to talk about that because we give our kids the bare minimum and expect them to treat us like royalty, and that's bullshit, straight up and down bullshit. So I agree with him on that one. What the fuck?
About how depressed they are until you're like, hey, I haven't taken a shower in 4 weeks and I can't get out of bed and I haven't been eating food, and they're like, ew, that's gross. It's like, that's what depression is.
Especially with our generation.
What? I was depressed and lost 60 pounds. Like, I wasn't eating. Like, I was just sad. Like, I was fucked up. Like, and like I said, it's a difference. Like, me being sad that my girlfriend broke up with me and me being clinically depressed are two different things. You know what I'm saying?
And what ends up happening is that some small thing happens and we're depressed. The term is just used so loosely. When you say comments like that, it takes away the power, in a sense, from like people that actually are seeking help.
So I'm about to have a really vulnerable moment with y'all. So my whole life, I have been so bullied, and words hurt so much. And 6 months ago, I almost took my life because of words, they have this effect on you, and sometimes you can't talk to people about. And my friend's mom posted, if you needed to talk to someone, to call this number, and I talked to them, and I spoke to them on the phone for 2 hours by myself at nighttime. And if it wasn't for her just doing that, I feel like I wouldn't have been here today. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
And shit like that is sad, bro. Like, he can't even talk to his own fucking parents. The motherfuckers that gave him life. He gotta go call somebody that ain't got shit to do with the situation instead of speaking to the people that share your DNA, that are probably having the same thoughts as you, to try to, I know when I was sad, this helped me, so maybe this will help my son, or maybe this will help my daughter. He gotta go talk to a lady on the suicide hotline. Like, that's fucked up, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's fucked up, though. But I feel for him, because I ain't been through what he's been through, but I grew up and I was bullied and shit, like, you know what I'm saying? So I understand. Like, I understand in, a general, broad outlook.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you. That takes a lot of guts to speak up about it.
My whole life, I've wanted to show kindness through me, and I hope that I do show kindness to others, because I don't want other people to feel the same way I felt, because if I can help someone feel that smile or that joy from me, it would mean everything to me, because it means that I'm fighting what other people did to me.
I don't really like it when people compare their depressions, because saying someone else is not depressed, because you don't really know what they feel. But I'm really glad that people are talking about it now, and that we can all bond over it. I'm truly thinking that the pressure that's put on our generation with social media is what causes it. But yeah, I'm really glad that people talk about it, so we have resources and stuff.
She finally said some shit I can agree with, because, girl, you've been bullshitting this whole goddamn time. But I will say, I think social media has fucked up the generation after us. Because like I said, for us, it's fucked up our generation too, but there was a point in life where we didn't have it. We grew up like every other generation where, up until I was probably around 10 years old, it was a luxury to have a cell phone. Like, but you know, my mom's generation, if you had a cell phone, you was rich. You know what I'm saying? But my generation, you know what I'm saying, they kind of start making them affordable for everybody, so people started to get them. And then, you know, MySpace came out and I was like in 7th grade. Like, you know what I'm saying? And MySpace was something cool, fun. That's where the whole cyberbullying thing started. And, you know, when you live your first 13 years getting bullied and getting, you know, all that in person, it's different because I can tell you, for me, I got bullied growing up. And I didn't get MySpace until I was 13, 14 years old. So I get on MySpace and a motherfucker trying to, oh, bro, you fat, you this, you that. Nigga, fuck this computer. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, pull up, because that's how we was getting bullied. We was pulling up on people. But, you know, the generation after us, this all they know. They grew up with iPads. They grew up, you know what I'm saying, with all this technology. So they think this stuff is real. I'm here to tell y'all right now, this stuff ain't real. It's not real. People talk all that noise. Most of the time, they ain't gonna do it in real life. Like, and I understand y'all have, like Gen Z has, like, a problem, you know, separating the two because, you know what I'm saying, because that's what y'all grew up with. This social media ain't real. TikTok ain't real. Twitter ain't real. Like, it's real, but don't, you know what I'm saying, all that bullying and crap, man, come on, man. Like, you know what I'm saying, just, because like I said, half of the people that talk all that noise, you never even gonna meet in real life. You know what I'm saying? Use that stuff for jokes. I use Twitter, TikTok, you know, what else? Snapchat, Instagram. I use that for news and jokes. Like, and that's it, bro. Like, all that Twitter bullying crap, that's just lame anyway. Because if you doing that to somebody, you a lame. Because that just mean you ain't gonna do it to their face. You a lame, straight up.
I am optimistic about the future. 3, 2, 1, go.
Personally, it's in my nature to not be optimistic because I think a lot of people in our generation are very nihilistic. I try not to like view it like that because it's very like deterministic. Like, well, the world's going to hell, like we can't do anything. And if you believe that, then like you're not fighting for like a better world and you're not fighting for change.
I'm very much with Sarah on the point where our generation is very cynical, very nihilistic. We like to just like assume that things can't be fixed because in the past they just never were. I don't know. I think I'm very optimistic for the future because I believe as we become more educated and we have more resources to certain things and information, we can do great things, but we just have to believe that we can or else it won't happen.
Now I'm feeling sad about saying someone disagree. I just was thinking about this in like the climate perspective and like social media, how it's been used so negatively. When I think about those two major things, I can't see it stopping anywhere.
It's a little unimaginable. It's like you
Yeah,
can't.
no,
it's
like I want to.
I mean, my whole, I'm naturally optimistic, so I can speak from the other side. I think the main thing about it is yes, you look in the past and things never got better, but that's the part of history you're choosing to look at. Because there's a lot of things that have gotten better over time. Like, I wouldn't be able to do this if technology didn't get better. We wouldn't be able to watch these videos. Like Makai said, you know, we wouldn't, there's so much information that, you know what I'm saying, that they could have just put it on the TV or put it in the newspaper and we just automatically believed it back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I can tell y'all that from having older people in my family, whatever they put on CNN is what they believe in, like point blank period. But I can sit up there and tell you, I can sit up there and argue and be like, well, that's wrong because this, and this, because I grew up in a generation that had more information. Like, yeah, if the news station say, oh, well, black people only make up 14% of the population and commit 56% of the crimes, of course you're going to think black people are bad. But if you do your research and realize that's true, yes, black people only make up 14% of the population and commit 56% of the crimes, but also have a 50% exoneration rate, which means they're getting off of these crimes. Like you see what I'm saying? But they're not gonna tell you that on Fox News. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like if you look at it, in a way that, oh, this is so terrible, we're so bad, all this other stuff. I promise y'all, you can look at things like the suicide rate. People think the suicide rate is so high nowadays. It was skyrocketed back in like the 20s and 30s. It's just, that's almost, 100 years ago. It is 100 years ago, so nobody thinks about it. But it was terrible. We used to make 5-year-old kids work in factories. Like, things have gotten better. Like, let's not act like they haven't. They, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because you've only seen a certain amount in your years on Earth or in America or in Britain or wherever you live doesn't mean that things haven't gotten better.
Positive, of course, and I want the change to happen, but like where does it start?
And then also, what change? What change? Because if we're talking about, cyberbullying, on Twitter or wherever, the reason why it's hard for them to put that to rest is because free speech. And when you do your research, you're going to understand the position a lot of these platforms are under. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's kind of, if we're talking about that, you know what I'm saying, it's different.
I try to be positive, and I always say, like, if there's something you don't like, we can work on it and fix it. And I think that this generation in particular is really good at that. Like, Gen Z is crazy. Like, we get things done. The impact we've had with, like, TikTok even, like, yeah, we changed a lot of things.
I feel like we have come far as a society, but that doesn't mean I'm also not disappointed in our society. There's so many things that we've gotten to like build upon as a society, and people are growing upon as a society. And you know what? After like meeting you guys today, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like there's hope.
On a more societal point of view, I feel very good that like change will occur whether we like it or not. That's just how society is. We progress.
That is officially a wrap. Great job, you guys.
Yeah, it's all about perspective also. Like, if you walk around and think the motherfuckers in your high school or your college campus is the people all over the world, then of course you're gonna be, cynical and whatnot, because this is who you're around. And I can tell you that for going to a predominantly white high school and, being called every racial slur in the book, from girls telling me, they got jungle fever, whatever the fuck that means. And like, different things like that. Of course you're going to think that's the world, but then my junior year, when I go to a predominantly black high school and I say jungle fever to somebody as a joke, and they like, what the fuck does that mean? It's like, there's two different worlds out there. And I went from, the northern part of Dallas to the southern part of Dallas. Like, it's not like I went from Texas to Florida. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even if you do some stuff like that, like, it's all about perspective. Just because, the people in your little city or your little town or whatever, and the people in your age group in those areas, doesn't mean that that's how the world is. And it's also about who you surround yourself with. But anyways, appreciate y'all for watching the vid. It's your boy, Dead. If you like this type of content, please like, comment, and subscribe. I almost said describe. Describe what, Dedrick? And it's your boy, Good Job, Dead Big Daddy. And I'm out.